Welcome back to Real Talk for an Unreal World podcast. I appreciate everyone's time for coming and listening to conversations that can benefit personal growth. I am an individual who does not pretend that everything is okay in this world. And men have a great difficulty with communicating about how they feel. And this translates an imbalanced state of life by believing that everything is meant to be buried within us because it's ours to carry. You will carry an immense amount of weight that will break you down over time. My guest today's name is Seraph Knight. He is a man from a generation in a time that does not communicate about how they feel, but he has chose a different path in this life to talk about emotions and share about how they benefited his life, to teach him about who he is and how he could grow into a higher self. If you're living in a negative state, in a fear state, you have the ability to create your own reality and choose a different path using love. It's just that we don't understand how to use love as a medication because we don't know how to read the prescription. So in this podcast episode, it is my belief that you will learn an immense amount about how to talk about how you're feeling, especially if you're a man in this world, because women are an example of empathy, compassion, and patience that we can all learn from once we go on the journey within. So I appreciate you so much for listening to this episode, and I hope you enjoyed as much as I had having it. You know, man, honestly, I just want to say thank you for reaching out to me and wanting to have these conversations about, men coming in to what it means to be a man these days. And what it means to be a man actually means getting in touch with the side of you that you hide from. And I think that that's really important. Men kind of believe that that's the side of a woman, the feminine aspect, and yeah. It's misconstrued in how they look at it and how they think about it. It's like, oh, I would rather avoid feeling feelings because I'm afraid of it, so I'll just use avoidance to practice being a man without actually understanding the symbiotic relationship of masculine and feminine. And exactly. I think that having these conversations and being an individual and being an example of someone who is willing to step out and do that, I have an immense amount of gratitude to you for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin. I only just put up a post about that this morning on Facebook, actually. I think it's important. I'm going to share some of my journey, okay, Justin? I don't know how much of my journey you know, but for the people out there who will watch this, okay, my life was a disaster zone of a mess. I came into this world with lots of learnings. I was adopted, okay. I had a very abusive, alcoholic adoptive father who imprinted many programs and belief patterns and conditions on me. And it pretty much drove me to despair with PTSD, depression, anxiety, feelings of unworthiness, it's feelings of and programs of I have to work hard to earn a living and not feeling good enough for anything. It's really it was quite a hard journey for me because I've been beaten, held up to the bloody wall by the throat at times, thrown down frickin' stairs by him. I was threatened by him. And a lot of that played out through my whole life. I was told to shut up. I was told to sit down and not be heard. I was told that not to feel my emotions. And these were all the programs that were running in me for so many years. And it's taken me 8 years to unravel all of that stuff. 8 years, right? My birth name is Shane. Also, my real birth name is Stefan, but my name I was given when I was adopted out was Shane. So I've had a myriad of unravelings to go through, right, with all of my journey. I became an alcoholic. I smoked cigarettes, never did drugs. Well, I did try them, just the weed, but I became an alcoholic, and I was a cigarette smoker for many, many, many years. I tried giving up smoking. The alcohol was just a thing. Um, I went through my life with abuse, pretty much. And when I got married and had kids, I swore I wouldn't follow through the track of my dad, my adopted dad, because I started to wake up at the age of 35 when I started going to meditation group and finding more about myself, of who I am, and starting to see deeper truths, which I didn't like either, to be honest with you. It can be very scary for the men out there to acknowledge this, okay, brother. And I want the men to know that you're safe when you can find another person, either another man or even a woman that you can feel safe to share this with. That's your gift. But it's okay for you to share your emotions. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to feel angry. It's okay for you to feel sad. It's okay to feel these emotions, because as men, we've been conditioned so chronically to just bury them and be a man, be that masculine, toxic patriarchy. You will do as I say, and that's it, and that's the word of the house, and to be the man of the house and the king and all this stuff, And look, I'm trying to walk away from labels these days now, but there has to be a balance, because even I didn't understand the balance of the feminine and the masculine in me until later on. And I had to do a lot of healing around the masculine and the feminine, because they were at odds with each other all the time, Justin. They were fighting each other within me. And I didn't know how to even deal with that until I started to find healers that come into my peripheral in my life to say, let me help you. You want the help? Yes, I do. Okay, then we're going to work together and we're going to bring you back into balance. We're going to let go of a lot of stuff. It's going to be fucking painful. It's going to be hurtful. You're going to feel like you're going through you're dying. And to be honest with you, I did. I felt like I was dying numerous times, and so many dark nights of the soul, so many having to confront myself over and over and over again with my childhood, with my dad, the way he treated me, with how mum treated me. And mum did her best, but she tried to protect me. But my God, the soul lessons I came in with, holy crap. I questioned myself every so often. What the hell was I thinking when I signed these agreements to come down here? I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And it's very difficult because the men are being told there is no soft side to them, right? They don't know feminine side. It's all rubbish, blah, blah, blah. That can't be further from the truth, because there are men out there who are very soft and very have a beautiful soft side to them, and a romantic side when it comes to courting women and stuff. So
I appreciate you for, speaking your truth about a childhood or an experience that faced emotional, mental, and physical abuse. And that emotional, mental, and physical abuse translated into a human believing they were weak and somebody taking their power away from them. So you don't have to be in a situation with an alcoholic, abusive father to feel these things. And the reason I speak about that is because I want people to associate with the journey. And that's really common for, everyone in this life, not just men, but we'll talk about men from this perspective. So men believe that they have to create this strong exterior because something was taken away from them at a very young age. And they're not sure how to arrive back at taking that back into their life. And like you said, communicating about it, communicating about what transpired in your life with a community of individuals who could share perspectives with you is what helped you begin to alleviate you from that traumatic experience from the past. And that's the power of communication. But the greatest part about that is the practice. you got to have courage in this life, and you got to be brave. And it's not easy for a man to come on here of all places and talk about these kind of things, let alone talk about it with just a friend, that you confide in. But what I want to say to those individuals who's practicing that, if the individual you share your story with isn't receptive because they're not at a point in time where they're able to offer any guidance for you or even listen to you, find another community. Because Seraph and I found each other just through mutual Facebook pages, having conversations about the same thing. And that is a community. Social media tools are one aspect. You can be lost in them for hours and learn nothing, or you can use it as a tool of connection, which it's there for.
Absolutely.
So that's really cool. So what took you into a place of healing? Like, after you used alcohol as a way to distract from these feelings within, which I think is really common, and I think we should talk about that, because that's something that can have you feel anything other than the feelings that you faced at that time.
Look, the alcohol was a huge thing for me. I was introduced to alcohol from a young age, about the age of 16. When I joined the Royal Australian Navy over here in Australia, obviously the culture of the Navy or any armed forces, right, is alcohol, okay? And that's where I ended up, because alcohol for a lot of people, and especially men, is a way to cover up your emotions, okay? And alcohol is a spirit, and spirit brings in entities, which creates all kinds of havoc, because it numbs the brain and creates all sorts of dramas for people out there, especially the men, right? And sometimes it can have different effects on men. It can create men to be just weird, whacked out, freaking fun-loving people, or they can be very... And I know I was that guy, actually. I was always out there fun. I was fun-loving and creating fun trouble, nothing like that. But a lot of men, it can affect differently, and that can create a lot of abuse and anger issues and stuff, right? Where for me personally, I used alcohol as a way to numb my feelings and bring out the fun, joyous side of me, where others, depending on the traumas and how they react, it can bring out a really nasty, angry, toxic side. All right, Justin, I want to talk about that as well. I know you would agree, you would share that similar beliefs of what I'm saying to some degree.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how it's socially acceptable to distract, to use that as a distraction. Even if it brings out that fun, loving side of us, those that are abusing, the spirit are just trying to show somebody or tell somebody, using this language of becoming an alcoholic, to say something's wrong with me. And when you're the fun-loving guy, it actually is more difficult for people to read you. So that's something I see a lot today. A lot of people find it totally acceptable. Just, men especially, they reach for beers, and they'll be in a group of men will just say, pound a couple beers, push your feelings away. We don't talk about that kind of things. The beers will make it go away. It's like, wow, like, think of that mentality and think of that practice. And you're right. For some, they get frustrated with themselves for doing that. And this fun-loving guy becomes depressed and angry. And they become very frustrated, and they display that to the people around them. So it's another way the language of emotions is trying to talk to people. But yeah, you're right. It's very acceptable.
And this is the thing too, Justin. And what happens is the whole culture of men, especially here in Australia, being the old Aussie attitude of "she'll be right, mate." It's like they just freaking, no, we don't talk about that. Let's get in. Come on, John, we'll get down to the pub and have a couple of beers, and don't worry about it. It's nothing, just let it all go. It's fine, Well, the beer will freaking sort it out,
It's funny though. We hear that a lot. Let's just let it all go. Let it all go. It's like, if you don't process something, you never let it go. So we should just be telling each other, just bury it under all of that other mountain of stuff that everyone has told you to bury it with. I think if we use that language to say, just bury it, over time we'd be like, good Lord, I've been burying for 20 years. Like, I'm buried now. Like, I'm the one who can't breathe. And often that's exactly what it looks like.
It is. And it takes a lot. And I want to say to the men out there too, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a hell of a lot of fucking courage to stand up and say, you know what? Crap, man, I feel shit. I hate this world, or I hate my job, or I hate my wife, or my kids are annoying. You know, what the hell's going on? You know, why am I feeling this way? I feel unworthy. It's like I want to punch frickin' Robert down the road because he pissed me off today. You know, it's like, what the fuck? It takes a lot of courage for men to express themselves and say, you know what? Somebody fucking listen to what I'm feeling right now. I'm tired of bearing this crap. Because, and this is the most important thing that the men, I want men to understand this, okay, Justin, is that emotions play a key part in your physical well-being. Now, when you bury your emotions and you keep stuffing it down like a freaking volcano, eventually those are going to translate to physical disease, right? Physical disease, blokes. For any whoever watches this, when they do watch it, right, this is not good. This creates illness in your body, which means you are out of alignment with your spirit and your mental, emotional, and your physical bodies. Because we came here to experience this world, we came here to experience emotions and feelings and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's crappy. Yeah, it's a mongrel freaking journey at times. Yes, we've been through traumas. Yes, we've been abused. Yes, we've been controlled and conditioned and programmed by external forces out there in this world. Okay, but we have the power and the responsibility that we can fucking heal ourselves. We have the power to heal ourselves. I am a perfect example of that as I sit here today. And even you, Justin, and I know you for long enough over the years. When we found each other, you've shared your story on Facebook with me as well when I did live with you years ago. And you look at how well I've seen you transform, bro. I've seen the difference in what you've achieved out there, right? And holy crap, I want to honor you, brother, for the work you've done on yourself as well. Truly.
I appreciate that, man. And I, as a human that experienced 23-year drug addiction, what that translates to, the language of that is 23 years of disconnecting from myself. I avoided feeling difficult feelings and processing experiences that happened to me in my life because I didn't know how. I didn't know how. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the education, and I didn't have the community. And I blamed other people for that. And it was easier to blame other people for that and self-sabotage because I taught myself that. And I wasn't talking about anything that I needed to talk about because I didn't have the language for it and I didn't have the guides. But because I chose to continue with that trajectory, 23 years, man, heroin, like, all the drugs, 16 years with a needle, homeless. That's how far it took me to find myself. And like you were talking about before, you experience death in this life. And I have as well. Death in this life is the most beautiful thing because we let go of an entire identity that we built up that did not serve us anymore. It's a metamorphosis. It's a transmutation of one thing to another. You alchemize. And for anybody listening to this out there, a guy to think like, man, if your life sucks and you're beating yourself up all the time, man, to take off that identity that does not serve you anymore and walk and grow and make mistakes into this new life, into this new being. I mean, that was 4 years ago for me. I learned every single day of my life. But one of the most greatest things that I learned along my journey was how to understand energy. And energy equates to emotions. So if we think about when we're sad, it puts us in a low state. We feel real dense because that energy sits inside of us. Or we think about how we are when we're in a joyous state or, we're having the time of our lives. we're in a high vibrational state. That energy is flowing through us, not sitting in us low.
Yeah, exactly.
So where Seraph talks about this disease with energy, you do that by not processing and facing emotions and experiences, because that energy can't transmute. It sits dense in the body and it attaches to the physical body because there's nowhere for it to go. You have to turn it into something. So you take a negative energy or a negative experience and you find the positive, you find the education within it, and you let that go, and you let that become a part of your journey. Because even all the things Seraph experienced in his life, that was education for the road ahead.
Yes.
And that's how we apply it.
I want to go back to the energy side of it, okay, Justin, because I think that's a very valid point. I feel that's a very valid point to explain to the blokes out there as well, the guys. I wrote about this years ago, okay? And the first thing I want to say to everyone out there as well, listens to this, is that I know nothing. I only know things from my experiences in this life and how I've grown through that. I am someone out there who shares information and conscious awareness to help people through their life as they awaken to their true selves. So, firstly is we are energetic beings in a physical meat suit here, right? An avatar, whatever you want to call it, okay? And when Justin was saying this before, energy is energy in motion, right? I'm going to put it in simple terms for the guys out there, okay, Justin, without trying to, I don't want to make people feel stupid, but just for those who are unaware, it's like plumbing in a house. So in your house, you got plumbing. Well, we're a house. This is a sacred house that we live in, this physical being, right? And when the plumbing in your house gets blocked, what do? You unplug it, okay? Otherwise, it'll explode everywhere, and emotions are, and shit will go everywhere, and all the crap, right? Literally, okay? And so, excuse me, folks, for anyone who watches from overseas, this is me as an Aussie, okay? I don't paint pretty pictures of rainbows when I speak, right? But it's the same with our physical vessel. If you are blocking and stuffing down your emotions and stuffing it down with food and stuffing it down with alcohol and stuffing it down with drugs and all the other shit you can find to stuff it down there, like, oh, I'm just going to keep stuffing it down that bloody toilet and plugging it up until, boom, explodes in a rage of emotions, from sadness to grief to depression to feelings of unworthiness and all of this stuff, and anger especially, right? Anger. Oh my God. So it's easier for us to deal with the emotions and feel them and allow them out at a steady pace and transmute them, transcend them, acknowledge them. And I want to share this too, Justin. This is how I managed to get through, right? Is love. Love those fucking feelings. Love those emotions. Love them. Because we've also been taught as men that feeling emotions is a dirty word. Sharing how you feel is a dirty word. Acknowledging the ego is a dirty word. The ego is not a dirty word. It is a part of this human experience here. And every single person out there who has signed up to transcend this journey into awakening, then they will love hearing this. I want to say also that a lot of people have not signed up to transcend their experience this lifetime too, Justin, right? We must, excuse me, I want to acknowledge that, because a lot of people will not make it through this lifetime, and they're not meant to, right? And I mean, they can change their mind, obviously, on the soul level if they want to, okay, but a lot of them won't. And I want to acknowledge that. And that's not sad. That is just their soul agreement. This is what I'm here for. This is what Justin's here for. I love this brother of mine. He's an amazing bro. He's shared his story with me, and I've shared mine with his. And this is why we come together, because I want to inspire those men who are stuck in a rut, or who feel that there's no hope in the world to change, that there is hope in this world, that you can change. You have to be able to be courageous enough to freaking feel those emotions and acknowledge it. Get help. Ask people for help. Ask men for help. Go to men's groups. Find somebody who actually gives a crap enough to say, shit, let's start on this, John. Where are we going with this today? What do you want to do? Well, I got a crappy relationship. I'm drinking alcohol like a maniac. I'm freaking smoking cigarettes. I want to go to drugs. Where do we start with? My childhood was crap. How can you help me? And it's about acknowledging it for start, Justin. It's about taking that step and saying, fuck, you know what? Justin inspired me today. Seraph inspired me today. Fuck, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change my life and I'm going to make it better, because every one of you out there can do that if you choose to do so. But you have to acknowledge the emotions, because we're energetic beings. And if you block the plumbing, it's going to explode. And I want to share this too, Justin, because this is important. Because we have energy signatures, right? And I know this is an illusionist world. It's a game, right? But if you want to improve your life, then this is how you can do it. This is how I managed the steps I took. But it's also remembering that every time you put an energy signature out there, what you are holding in your energetic field, and mind you, we can't see energy, right? Well, some of us can, but not all of us can, okay? But that energy signature transmits out to the universe. And that universe will give you back exactly what you are holding in your energetic field. So if you are holding on to anger and hatred and fear and judgment and all of this crazy shit, the universe will send you a reflection of yourself, of exactly what you are holding within you. So if you are attracting people to yourself to say, who may hate you or may get angry at you times or may belittle you or judge you, and you're doing that externally as well to the external world, then that's what you're going to attract to you, right? So the way because I cleared those energetic fields, I'm not saying I'm clear. I'm not 100% clear at all. I want to state that clear. I'm not perfect, folks, okay? I am imperfectly perfect, and I've got stuff to work through, but I've cleared through a bulk of stuff that I have a peaceful life, okay, where I attract beautiful, loving beings into my life because I see that in myself now, whereas before I looked in the mirror and I hated myself. I was drawn, I was tired, I was freaking depressed, I was anxiety, I was freaking scared shitless of everything. Okay. The energy field you hold is important. When you start looking at the energy field of what you're putting out there and what you're attracting into yourself, and you start working on that and looking at that and saying, fucking hell, what the hell was my childhood like to create this shit?
Yeah.
And what can I do to change that?
Yeah, I think it's important, for people to understand, you are the creator of your own reality. So how you think is how you feel. How you feel is how you think. If you're feeling not well all the time, you will attract situations, scenarios, things external from you that are not well for you, because you're giving off that energetic state. Energy attracts energy. Thoughts become emotions. Emotions become vibrations. Vibrations attract vibrations. We are magnetic by state.
Yes.
That's how it is. That's how you control everything. So if somebody taught you that it was okay to avoid all feelings and avoid all experiences that were difficult, you're never going to learn any lessons from it. And that's why we put ourselves, or we're born into difficult experiences, because they shape us with the greatest lessons. I mean, think about it. No one ever forgets something that was extremely difficult. Whatever you go through that's extremely difficult, you never forget it. And that's where the soul learns. We come here to learn through this manner. That's the thing you leave here with, is the memory in the experiences. Are they all good? No, they're not all good, but that's okay. If things are not good, it teaches us to value the things that are. So we have duality within the experiences, rather than hide from it and try to pretend that everything's okay all the time, like a lot of people do.
Oh, yeah, there's that fake facade, and they put the masks on.
Yes.
Right? And that's not to judge people who do that either, Justin, because I want to share this too, and I know you would understand this. The other thing too is, folks, is that look at life as a stage. All right, life is like a stage play. Okay, it's a stage. You have actors, and like you were just saying before, Justin, you're the director, the actor, the writer. You're all encompassed of creating a reality. So Sometimes people will come into our life to show us what we can change within ourselves. They may not necessarily change themselves, but they're a pivotal part of the journey for us to show us how we can change. But the
Right.
question is, do we want to take that cue
Right.
from those stage players that come in and say, and treat us really poorly and say, oh my God, John, you're such a freaking mongrel. You this, that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
How long is it going to be before that person says, you know what, Peter, I've had a guff of your crap. I'm not going to be like this anymore, and I'm not going to listen to you anymore. And you walk off the stage and say, we're done here. Why did I attract that into my life? What am I holding within me that I can change to stop me attracting that into my life? Because every time we hold on to those vibration frequencies of what you were talking about before and what I've spoken about, people are going to keep coming to us with that same frequency vibration until we see and acknowledge the cues of like, what's source trying to show me? What's God trying to show me? What is the universe trying to show me here? What do I need to change my life? Right?
I think it's important also to think of a human or think of ourselves as a scale. The whole idea is to have a balanced scale, so that
Yes.
we can navigate life
Yeah.
with balance through the emotions, balance through the experiences, balance of self. But when we're
Yes.
imbalanced and we're burying emotions or we're hiding from our experiences, and it tips the scales, and ego tells us that we're not good enough, that we have to be afraid, and things that we do not understand we will accept as truths from other people because we're too
Yeah.
afraid to learn about those things. It's a
Yeah.
very difficult life to navigate under that pretense, right?
Then the
But
scales become unbalanced, right?
if you go into those areas, the scales are tipped one way, that's okay. You can
Yeah.
go into those parts of your life with love, because fear is what's imbalancing the scales in the first place. Go in with
Absolutely.
love as a tool, and you will
Mm-hmm.
not go into these places alone. You'll go in with compassion, empathy,
Yes.
understanding. These
Yes.
are beautiful tools to use along a journey to balance the scales. And life becomes a whole lot easier because you walk a whole lot lighter.
It starts with having compassion for ourselves and empathy for ourselves and kindness for ourselves, right? And respect for ourselves. It starts with us and starts with saying, well, I don't respect myself right now, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it. But I see that I don't respect myself. I'm going out and getting drunk every night or every second night or every freaking weekend. And, I'm treating women with disrespect, or I'm treating my wife and my kids with disrespect. I'm treating them poorly. How can I change that? But it's about acknowledging that, having compassion for yourself, having respect for yourself. So, you know what, freaking, I'm not this person, but I'm not going to beat myself up over it either. It's like, okay, these experiences came from my childhood. I'm an adult now, and I am responsible for changing myself and growing into a better version of myself. And this is when you talk about compassion and empathy and all those things, we can have that for everybody else, but it starts with us. And until
Yeah.
it starts with us, it's once again, it's all superficial out there. You can be as compassionate to other people, but is it genuine? Is it authentic?
And I think it's okay to be at any stage in your journey. I mean, I was 36. I got
Yeah,
I was in jail. I was homeless when I decided to make a choice. And my first choice was to realize that I did not love myself. And the
yeah,
reason that I did everything to hurt myself and to avoid all of the difficult feelings was because I didn't know how to love myself. No one ever taught me that. No one ever talked about it. And I had to accept that that was okay. But I
yeah.
also had to accept that I didn't have the tools and the education. So for me, I just surrendered my life to love. I literally spoke those words, and love opened up within me. So if we ask, we shall receive. Like people have
Yes.
said to me, who are you asking? What does it matter? Just put the vibrational frequency into the energetic state of the world and see what comes back to you, because you're not alone. You're not
No.
alone, and it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to ask for things. I think that we've been taught that we're not worth it, or somebody else is more deserving. It's like, no way. If you don't love yourself, how can you love another? And it's really important to sit with that and think about that for a second, because a lot of people have wives, they've got kids, they've got husbands, and they feel the same things that Seraph and I were feeling. I mean, it's very common for people to pretend that everything's okay these days. And I want you to know, like, the situation that I was in my life with this drug addiction and homelessness and prison and the needle and all these things, the doctors told me that it was 0.01% of people that come out of the situation that I was in. And when he said that to me, he said it in a way that would somewhat be a deterrent to know that if I failed, it was very common. But when I heard that, I had said to him, well, that means it can be done and I'll never be back here. And I never went back into those doctor's office because I had the prescription of love. Love was the medication, and I just learned how to use it throughout my life. And that didn't make me a statistic anymore. It just showed me I could do anything at any stage in my life, make mistakes along the journey by becoming a student of love. And I think it's really important for people to understand. It doesn't, because people say to me all the time, oh man, I'm too far gone. I'm too far gone. I'm like, too far gone? Dude, I was 36, homeless, 16 years with a needle, bro. Like, too far gone, dude? You have no idea what society will judge you for being too far gone, and that there is no judgment and there is no comparison. But good Lord, I mean, I'm painting a picture for you of where I was at. So if you're not homeless and you're not sticking needles in your arm, value the place you're in to start. Not in a prison cell, not in a prison cell, not withdrawing from fentanyl after 7 years. Like, all you're doing is withdrawing from love. And that it's a far easier thing to incorporate and back into your being, because it's looking for us. This is the thing.
Yeah.
This is the shift in reality right now. A lot of people talk about this in the spiritual communities and whatever else. It's love is the shift. This is the shift. This is what we're moving into. So men are starting to feel this awareness to themselves, because the energetic states of everything is changing and we're coming into a higher consciousness. So if you are one of those individuals and you're feeling these kind of things, I'm going to put Seraph's information down in the links below, and my information's always in the links below. We don't have to be right in front of each other physically to have these conversations. This is what we do with our lives.
Yeah. Look, the other thing too, Justin, and look, and I just want to acknowledge that love is the key, but I think I want to take it a step forward and say, authenticity is the first priority out of the love. If you can't be authentically you, and let's be honest, 3/4 of the world, let alone men, have no fucking clue who the hell they are.
Yep.
Because of the programs and the conditions and the beliefs. So being authentic with yourself is the first step. It's actually admitting to yourself, fuck, man, I was this person when I was a child. I was this kid. I was that. I was this. I was that. This happened to me. This happened to me. And this happened to me. It's like, oh my God, I'm not fucking. I'm so scared of acknowledging this, but holy shit, I know this will set me free, right? And that's authenticity is the start. When you can get vulnerable and authentic and real and raw with yourself, the love comes through from there. Then you can start loving yourself. Because I never saw that. Because so many people are talking about authenticity these days. And when I look deeper into that, it is being authentically you. But who are you? Who are you? What is your authentic self? Who is your authentic self? It's you being that loving person. It's you being that kind-hearted, loving, caring person. It's you acknowledging all those depths of darkness within you, even the shitty parts. Because you know what? That's what made you. That's what a part of your experience was. And there is nothing in this world to be ashamed of what you've done in your life. I nearly ended up in jail, Justin, many years ago when I was married. And I never shared anything with this except for one person just recently on a podcast, right? And I did. I nearly ended up in jail. And I think I've shifted my reality now that I don't have a criminal history anymore, but I did have it. And I nearly ended up in jail for shit that I'd done. Right. And, I had to come to grips with that. I had to be authentic with myself, and I had to start getting real with myself. And the last 8 years have been that journey, right? But I was sitting in a lot of fucking fear back then too. Plus, I had post-traumatic stress disorder on top of that, and all the rest of the stuff I've discussed. Okay, so I want people to understand. Yes, love is a big key of it. Okay, guys, it really is. But you have to get real with yourself first. You have to get authentic with yourself. You have to get real with yourself. You have to get freaking honest with yourself. You have to have those hard, tough conversations with yourself and say, fuck, you know what? I fucked up. And that's okay. I made a mistake. We all make mistakes, like you said before, bro. And that's okay. It's all in the learning. But don't beat yourself up, fellas. Get in there and say, fuck, which way can I take this way that's going to bring me back into the center of alignment? Where can I go that's going to bring me back into my truth again? And there's nothing wrong with this, folks. No right or wrong. You make mistakes, you learn, and you grow. Or you stay stuck. The choice is yours. You have free will on this planet. I could have stayed stuck in there. I could have kept replaying the same old scenarios over and over and over and over again. And to be honest with you, folks, I nearly fucking died numerous times on this journey of this 58 years that I've been on this planet, right? I've nearly died numerous times. Car accidents, freaking swimming accidents, fucking. I nearly died last year. I wrote my car off. And I came that close. It wasn't funny. I literally freaking, the car was written off. It's like, fuck. Right?
Wow.
And I know you didn't know that, Justin.
I didn't know that.
No, that happened last year, in April of last year.
What?
12 months ago. Yeah. I just moved up to this new place where I'm at right now, here in Yandina on the Sunshine Coast, Queensland. And I was driving in, and I fell asleep at the wheel. It was a mini nap. I was sitting at the intersection waiting to cross over to the other side of the road, and I fell asleep. My foot hit the accelerator, boom, straight into the back of a 4-wheel drive, totaled the whole car.
Damn.
Windscreen was smashed, airbags went off. I come out of it thinking, what the fuck just happened?
Wow.
Yeah?
I had no idea.
So that was because I wasn't slowing down. That was because I wasn't taking care of myself. That was because I wasn't loving myself. I was pushing so hard to do everything myself, clean the house, the old house, and move in and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and this is what happens, folks. The universe is going to send you signs. It's going to freaking put you in predicaments and situations where you're going to turn and say, what the fuck is happening here? It's like, maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to start loving yourself. Maybe you need to look at what's going on within yourself, within your physical vessel, right, as to why this is unfolding. And I'm not here to break you guys. Honestly, I think every single person has the potential in this world to change themselves, especially the men. But you have to want to do it.
I think it's also really important to have a conversation surrounding what our idea of love is. And, the reason I didn't love myself is because the example that was being displayed to me through the idea of love was through the avenue of materialism. Now, not in all cases. I have two very loving parents, absolutely. But the conversation of how to love self was not present. And that misled me to believe what love was, because my parents never had the education and the information on how to love themselves. So our idea of love is different. But a lot of people ask me, what does love mean to me? Well, through this journey of self-discovery, love to me is truth. And like Seraph was saying, you speak your truth, you're going to be authentic. And that's what you're witnessing here today, is two individuals who speak the truth. If I'm on the bus, or if I'm in a bookstore, or if I'm anywhere and so I have a conversation, like you can find me below surface level. I'm deep. I'm going to show you who I am, because if you take an interest in having a conversation with me, then I'm not shy to tell you that I was a 23-year drug addict as it comes up in conversation. I'm not just throwing that out to people like that. If somebody's genuinely interested in the things that, we're having a conversation about, I will tell them that. Absolutely. Because it doesn't define me. People that have been through physical and sexual abuse and things like this, or abandonment and neglect, they believe that that's their identity. Well, no, it's a part of your life, and it was here to teach you lessons, some difficult, some great, absolutely, but it shapes you to be the human you want through that choice. So if you choose love and you choose to become a student of love and learn through it by speaking your truth, being authentic, and being vulnerable in the right situation, you're going to grow. And then you do not have to stay in one place, this dense area of an inability to be your true authentic self. And I mean, learning about yourself and making mistakes through that is actually a really beautiful part of the journey, because you don't beat yourself up for it. You look at it and you go, oh, dang, I said that thing, or maybe I approached that girl like I didn't want to approach that girl, or I approached that guy how I didn't want to approach that guy. It's like, okay, it's okay. I'm going to learn for the next one, because A, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and B, the journey's not over till, your eyes close for good. So like, you better just keep trying, because if you're afraid to try, I mean, good Lord, you're going to miss out on the experience, and you fall into these comforts and complacencies of doing things that aren't good for you, like Netflix and eating shitty food and not drinking enough water and not getting enough sleep. I mean, these things are all really important. I know a lot of guys that don't sleep well at night. It's like, you don't sleep well at night because you're left alone with your thoughts and your feelings at that point. There's nothing coming between you and the thoughts and the feelings, so you're focused on them. But don't be afraid of that. It's okay if you've lived a lengthy life up to this point and you're carrying an immense amount of baggage, to start going through those bags. Because the most important thing to remember is it's already happened. You can't change it. So there's no sense in carrying all this dense weight with you to the finish line. You can take that shit off, look at it for what it is: education. Relationships didn't work out, job didn't work out, whatever. You slept with the bridesmaid or something. I don't know, like whatever just didn't work out for you. It's okay. You already did it. So just be better. I mean, when I decided to become a student of love and love myself in jail, I literally in the jail cell decided to be a different human. Let me tell you something. Practicing authenticity and honesty and trying to do things from a place of love in jail is a very difficult place to do that. But I knew if I could do it in jail, I could do this anywhere. And I made mistakes in life after I got out of jail. Absolutely. And you will too. But it's okay as long as we learn from those mistakes and we become and grow into the person we want to be. That's what makes you, and you get to learn every single day. I mean, I shake my life up every couple months. Things change for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Just as true. Yeah. And when you start that journey of being authentic with yourself, you're going to start drawing people who are going to be authentic with you as well. And I want to share a couple of experiences I've had just recently with that, actually, especially with women. Over the years, I've become a very good space holder for other people, men to some smaller degree, but women seem to be attracted to me in the last 12 months alone. But in the last 4 days, I've had 3 women. 2 of them on Saturday night came up to me and expressed how they were feeling and what they were doing, what was happening for them in their world. And I think the other thing too is hard for men to learn how to hold space for themselves as much as other people, right? Or women specifically more than anything else. But holding space for yourself is another gift and key for yourself too, in regards to, can you actually, like Justin was just saying before, and I want to acknowledge everything you said, Justin. It's just beautiful what you said today. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Holding space for yourself, it means holding yourself accountable, means holding yourself even in the depths of your despair, even when you feel like it's the end of the fucking road for you. It's not. It never is the end of the road. But this one lady I met today, this beautiful soul, she actually sat there and shared her entire fucking story with me in an hour and a half coffee meeting we had this morning in the coffee shop before I came on with you. And it was incredible. We were just sharing back and forth our stories of our life. And it's beautiful.
Yeah. I want to hit on that for a sec. Seraph saying that he's attracting women into his life. This society that we're living in today, there's a great desire to try and sleep with anything that passes your vicinity. Let's try and
Yeah.
have sex with everything. It's like, okay, that's one aspect of, the masculine and the feminine interchange of energy. But something that's even more powerful than that is in the exchange of emotions, right? During
Yeah.
sex, of course, you're absolutely exchanging emotions and feelings, but an in-depth exchange of experience, you give a piece of yourself to another human being because they're there to hold space for you, like you said. And women do that in such a practiced manner. They're born with this thing, this
Yeah.
empathy, this compassion, this patience, like this ability to be still. And, a lot of guys ask me, like, well, give me some tips on, not a lot of guys, but I've been asked before, like, well, give me some tips on picking up girls and things like that. I'm like, dude, I'm married. And, I found this girl at a very early stage in my understanding of what I was looking for. But you're looking for something to help you pick up girls. Be vulnerable. Be
Yeah.
vulnerable and authentic, though. I mean,
Yes.
you can't be using that as a tool to pick up girls. They're going to see right through that right quick. And then you're going to
Yeah.
hurt that girl in a way that you're misleading her into thinking that you're somebody you're not. And then you carry that, like you're damaging yourself. So become aware of that. Like, it's just changing how you see and you share energy with those around you. But it's a great place to actually have an avenue for something more than a friend. It's really deep. It's really beautiful. So I appreciate you for saying that.
That's all right, Justin. I think it's important because for the women out there who may watch this as well, I want to acknowledge you for
Yeah,
what you've been through
yeah,
with the men. Okay,
yeah.
but I also want the women to understand too that not all men are like that. But I also want you to understand that the men who do that are carrying around some enormous, phenomenal amounts of trauma and wounding from their own childhood, and they don't know how to heal themselves, even if they're meant to. Or maybe they're meant to come into your life to show you that you're worthy of more. You're worthy of more, right? And that's not to take away from the traumas or the wounds of what has happened to you, ladies, from the men as well. But I want to share with you that have that compassion for yourself and for the men, because the men have been traumatized and beaten down in this society as much as the women have. And we're
I
all responsible. We've all hurt each other. We've all done horrible things to each other, men and women. But now it's about uniting and helping the common cause of each other to come back to that balance.
Yeah, I also want to just throw this out there to any women that are listening to this. You ain't gonna save nobody either. So
No.
it's one thing to be like compassionate and use empathy, and I know a lot of women know how to use these tools very well. But there's
Mm.
a lot of women that believe that they're going to fix somebody or change something or repair something that's broken. It's like, no way. You're gonna give your time and energy and your love to something that needs to find all of that within itself. It needs to see the value within itself, to give
Yeah.
itself the time and the energy that it desires and that it needs, and to understand love for self. Because if you continue trying to fix somebody or hoping that this individual is going to just all of a sudden be healed on its own without doing any work, you are going to spend an immense amount of time and energy and miss out on your journey. And I
Yeah.
think it's desirable for people to hold on to things because they know it, because they're
Yeah.
afraid of something they don't know. But just remember, like, do not fear the things you don't know. Embrace it. I know that's difficult. It's easier said than done. But with practice, anything you practice, you get good at. So you'll very quickly become good at seeing doors that you don't know what's behind as being an opportunity to learn about yourself and to grow. And it might have a difficult lesson and it might have a wonderful lesson, but either way, they're both valuable to your growth. So just a thought, men too. Like, if you're trying to hold on to a girl that you think you're going to fix or change, just let it go, man. Like, it's if it's real, you set love free. And if it's
Yeah.
authentic and real and meant to be, it'll come back to you. And that's a beautiful philosophy to live by.
I love that. I just want to add on to that. We're not here to save people. We're not here to pick up their slack. We're not here to push their boulder, because that's the biggest problem. And the other thing too, folks, and I want to touch on this with what Justin was saying, and I want to acknowledge everything you said, Justin. It's beautiful. It's an incredibly truth right there. We're not here to push other people's boulders, because what happens then, not only are we missing out on our own journey and our own life and experiences we could be going through, we're also taking away from their learnings, their experiences, and their journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a twofold street. Not only are you missing out on your journey, you're also subtracting from their learning by trying to save them and picking up every time. I know it's ingrained for humanity as a whole, for women and men to be nurturers and fixers, or the men the fixers and the women the nurturers, right? But this is where it's going to stop, because this is where then we get into codependency and toxic codependency and toxic attachments and unhealthy attachments to the other person, or even friendships. And this is where it can become really, really chronic for a lot of people. Yeah. And they don't understand this. Now, like, God forbid, I don't want to really use the word, but narcissism is thrown around like fucking lollies today. It's like, oh, he's knocking, she's knocking, the whole world, oh my God, how come I keep attracting narcissism into my life, my God? Well, let me share this with you all, folks. And this is going to be a really hard truth for a lot of you to swallow. Every single person on this planet has fucking narcissistic traits in them. Every single one of them. Every single fucking one of us. But it's being aware of those. And you know what? You can fucking heal from it.
Yeah.
Anyone that says, oh, they'll never heal, they don't want to, and they carry on, like, no, bullshit. I am an example of how much I've healed through that myself. Seriously.
Narcissism as well, it stems from ego. Like, ego is exactly. the center of everything. So where we choose self-sabotage and judgment as a way of viewing the world, that comes from an egotistical state, feeling that we're not good enough, which is why we do that. Narcissism, trying to control other people or control situations that are out of control and be manipulative, that also stems from ego. So the balance of everything is around this one central nervous system of ego.
Absolutely.
But once we have a language to use to understand that, like narcissism is a way to communicate about our ego, anger, manipulation, control, power, greed. A lot of what we see establishments, the state that they hold themselves in is an egotistical state. They believe they're better and that we're less. So, of course, we're living in a reality, like Seraph said before, that we have free will and people can make these decisions as to which side of themselves they would like to live on. Or you can go into the areas and define yourself on your own understandings through your own belief systems by experiencing things from your own perspective and shape the human you want to be, so that when you are judging somebody or you're being narcissistic, you can immediately catch yourself and go, okay, that's valid, because somewhere along the way I learned that as a tool of defense. It's usually a defense mechanism that people adopt as becoming an acceptable part of their life. So you can hold yourself accountable for that in the moment. But then, like Seraph said before, like, you have the power to choose. You can allow yourself to make mistakes and then choose to be somebody different the next time your practice of an abnormal behavior presents itself. And that way you heal the ego into a new understanding of self. And that's a really great way to kind of see that and understand the language. So you have a little bit more of a perspective on how that looks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right, Justin. Absolutely. And it's really, I want to share my compassion, empathy for a lot of people out there, because, as this world constantly changes and transcends through this awakening that we're going through, right? It is very challenging, because we've got a lot of astrological stuff happening and all this other external stuff as well, which you came to experience. It's bringing up a lot of emotions and a lot of people's shadow stuff. So first, I want to share with everybody out there today, guys, please understand that Justin and I, we have great compassion and empathy for you. We know it's not an easy journey. We know that it's very difficult to look in the mirror and actually turn around and say, you know what, I love this part of me, right? Because let me just share this with you guys, okay? I was my biggest critic, the inner critic, my ego. I hated every fucking aspect of myself. I hated my hair. I hated my teeth. I hated the fact I was wearing glasses. I hated when I put weight on. I hated the way I was treating people, which was not good at the time. I had so much anger and hatred built in me, it wasn't funny. But I had to learn to love myself, like Justin was saying before. I know it's not easy. And to the fellas, definitely I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I know it's takes a lot of courage. This is why Justin and I chose to do this. We want to share that if you can step forward and have that courage and like even just baby steps, just one step at a time. That's all it takes. One small step.
The journey of 1,000 steps begins with the first
Yeah,
one. And
exactly. That's right.
and you're right. Like, we are two individuals who choose to just be an example of, a different way. And it's okay to be different than following what everyone else is doing. I often say to people, question who you follow. Like, are
Yeah.
the people that you're following, do they know who they are? Do they know
Yep.
what they stand for? Like, what are their beliefs? Are they of their own understanding? I mean, these are really important questions if you
Absolutely.
are someone who is going to follow. I mean, I know what I stand for and I know what I believe in. And
Yeah.
that's really important to me. And I attract that with other individuals that are standing for what they believe in as well. And that community gets created over time. Like Seraph was saying, there is typically a period of loneliness when you choose to become a student of love or choose to try and understand your past, because the people that we
Fucking
surround
know that
ourselves
all.
with, they're not having these conversations. So
No.
that's why we've never had them in the first place. So you look for a new community, but you first have to know what you want to say to people. So
Yeah.
that period of stillness, or loneliness as some call it, is a great opportunity and a place for you to calculate and evaluate the things that you want to talk about. And then that's how the road begins to healing. You just start in one place. Like Seraph
Yeah.
said, your childhoods can be very, very messy. They can be filled with all kinds of trauma. Not a problem. So you just start with one door. If you were molested or you were abused or you were verbally abused or emotionally abused, you just start with, my mother was controlling. My father beat me. And you build off that and you start realizing, like, okay, I am this way because this was normal in my life,
Yeah.
or I
Exactly.
avoided this. So it's a journey. It doesn't just all happen right away, but you got to be willing to take the first step on the journey of self-discovery. And the results are priceless, man. Like, I live a freaking magical life, but it's not always easy. And I'm okay with that, because I know when things are tough, I'm like, oh man, there's a valuable lesson here. And it's still difficult, but there's value in it. And I know that that's going to help me grow into more of a human that I want to be. So it's just a way to kind of see it.
I love that. Having the tough conversations, Justin, and it's very difficult for people to have those tough conversations with others as well, because you got to figure out where where to start from. And the other thing I want to say too, and my high self keeps bringing me back to this at the moment. It's like, where are you not happy in your life? Where can you change your life?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, of taking responsibility for your life, your external physical changes, choices. Sorry, are you happy in your job? Are you coming home to Joanne every day, your wife or your partner or whatever the case, and oh, fucking work was such a frickin' chore today. I could have punched John in the face, oh my God, and the boss is a frickin' mongrel, and I got asked to do this crap, and, when I didn't want to do it, and I had to because otherwise I get the sacks. Like, the other thing too, folks, is the fear of stepping out into something new. Like I said, the first step starts with you wanting to make that change. And it is scary. It is scary as fuck to step up and say, I'm quitting a job today, sweetheart. What? Yeah, I've had a gutful. I want something better. I want something more more productive or more inspiring for me, you know? And it's the same with relationships, all relationships. It doesn't matter with friendships or work colleagues or whatever. Where can you change your life to make your life easier? Yes, there are challenges in this world, absolutely. We're living in a freaking polarized world, for God's sake. And even I have my fucking moments, right? And I'll be honest with you, folks, right now, even for me, just to show my vulnerability, right? 3 months ago, right, or 4 months ago now, my children's mother passed away, right? My ex-wife. Now, in that first 3 months, it was horrendous. I had to step in because I wasn't the executor of the will. My son was, and I had hell because my oldest daughter was being a complete crazy person, not understanding how to deal with her emotions. She just lost her mom. She was also pregnant, so she had pregnancy brain, and everything was going off the scale. And I just want to share with you guys. I want to share this with you guys because I want you to understand that whilst it may seem like that Justin and I have really great lives, and we do, right? But it doesn't mean we don't have our challenges along the way. But how you confront those challenges is how you move through it. Now, unfortunately for me, my oldest daughter has now disowned me as her dad because I stuck my big nose in there and tried to sort things out for the other kids. Because I got 4 children, right, Justin? I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But, you know, and so my life isn't always a piece of cake, right? It's not. Sometimes it can be very muddy, and I've got to tromp through some very freaking crappy shit to come back out the other side again. But unfortunately, my daughter will come back to me at some point when she just chooses. I've had to accept that journey and that part of it. And the hardest part was me putting my ex-wife to rest too, because I deeply cared and loved her to some degree quite a bit still regardless. But you always, if you think for one moment, folks, that once you've done this, it's over, no, no, no. This is a journey of unraveling. It's the onion. You're peeling the onion layer by layer by layer down to the core. And each time you see more. It doesn't matter how far you fucking go. The only way is for you is to be in the flow and allow the universe to show you where you need to go with it all. Because this is the gift. And love is the biggest thing. But being authentic and then loving yourself, loving those dark shadows, loving the crappy shits, the parts of yourself, loving your fucking grey hair if you're grey hair, loving the freaking scars you may have, loving your teeth, loving your eyes, loving the fact you wear glasses if you wear glasses, loving the fact that you were a fucking alcoholic arsehole if you were back then, right? Yeah, man, I fucking love that. That was part of my experience, you know?
Yeah.
Guys, I was a fucking hoon. As a teenager, I used to scream around and freaking hotted up fucking cars when I was a teenager because I was rebelling against the world. I was rebelling against my dad, who was an ass to me. God love him, and he's watching me today and saying, you know, I love you too, Dad. It's all good. You know, seriously, I forgive you. Right? Love those parts of you, man, because that's the fucking key.
I think I just want to hit on what you said there about like jobs and relationships. People, you know, they get stuck in this idea that, you know, the job they've got that they don't like, that doesn't serve them any purpose, that's actually causing a lot of mental health, emotional health, and really disconnecting themselves from getting to know who they are. They stay in it for this magical place of retirement, you know, or to pay for all this stuff they don't need. Like a journey of self-discovery also will have you evaluate what you value. Like if the job doesn't do it for you anymore, and the boat and the car and all the things that you have that just don't make you happy aren't what you need at this point in your life when you're on a journey of self-discovery, then they go away. And that's okay. You take calculated risks in this life, but the most important thing is you have to take action in yourself. You have to believe in yourself and believe in the journey, because if you believe in yourself, nothing will come between you and your destination. And that's very, very important, because we're taught to give our power away. And I love to remind people, like, put your attention inside on yourself through the belief of self. That doesn't mean you have to have all the answers and have it all figured out, like Seraph was saying. you just believe in yourself and believe in this thing that you're seeking, this destination of love, this understanding of
Yeah.
truth, this embodiment of light is
Yeah.
real, and it's something you can achieve, and it's something you can obtain. I promise you the synchronicities through the universal aspects and language will begin to present themselves to you, and the relationship that doesn't serve you goes away, because holding children captive due to materialism for a relationship that doesn't serve the two humans that are within it, because they don't want to lose the things they worked for in life, is actually completely detrimental to those
Yeah, it is.
children's childhood experience. And people do that. It's very common to break free from that. So, you break free from that to put your attention back into self, back into self-love and understanding of love, and your children will value you for that, because they'll see the action that you took in your life to become somebody different. And that means an evolved human. You become the example for your children. So where they
Absolutely.
see a relationship that didn't serve anybody dismantle, they also see the rebirth of a human that set themselves free to speak their truth and understand themselves.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
really important.
It is
Seraph,
important.
how do you mind my asking, how old are you?
I'm 58.
Like 58 years old, people. Like, that is not very common to have people from your generation talk about how they feel in the manner they do, with the vulnerability you do, with the just attention to detail, how you see your journey and you share about making the mistakes you've made in life and using them as a tool of growth. I just want to say, dude, I appreciate you so much for, sharing everything you've shared today and being an example. I look up to you. You're doing wonderful things. You got 18 years on me, but that just means you've got 18 years of experience on this planet that I can learn from and that others can learn from. So I think it's really valuable for the youth. I think it's really valuable for your generation, and I think it's
Yeah.
really valuable for anyone who listens to it. So much love, bro, for being
Thank
here
you,
today.
brother.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
I'm gonna put Seraph's information down in the comments below. All my information is in the comment or in the description below, and you can reach out, like, if you're trying to work something out in your life and evolve and understand this thing that we talk about. So much love, brother. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Justin. You too. Return tenfold.